At this point, yield to my colleague from Arizona, Senator Flake, whose staff has been extremely helpful in producing the video of his constituents' testimony.
Well, thank you, Chairman Collins. I just want to thank you and the committee and Ranking Member McCaskill for holding this hearing. It represents an important step in putting this new, very troublesome scam under a microscope. As I understand it, this is implicating individuals across the country, including, as the chairman noted, the man from Arizona, Daniel Seibert, who we'll hear from in just a minute. My office was able to work with the committee and to make sure that his testimony was heard today. I want to also thank ICE for intercepting Mr. Seibert before his situation escalated. And I hope that the spotlight that's being put by the committee on this subject will help in stopping others from being victimized in the future. And thank you, and I look forward to hearing from the witnesses.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for the testimony. Mr. Brown, just given Mr. Seibert's testimony about how he had been contacted and is still being contacted, I guess, some 400 emails a day now because he responded and has put over quite a bit of money. Let me just read a little bit of one of the emails that he received that was ostensibly from my office, from an individual who is actually on my staff. Obviously it wasn't for him, but they have names, and they encouraged him to send a check to post office, also telling him to stop listening or colluding with, and they name another senator, a U.S. senator, because they bilked him out of $900 before, supposedly. But to keep with us, and we'll get you money. So it's a very troubling thing when some of these people are getting letters ostensibly from our offices to somehow lend legitimacy to some of these scams. How often is that the case? And what other methods are being used to try to lend legitimacy to what they're doing?
One of the most tragic things that we see is that once a person is victimized once the organizations recognize they can get their hooks into them, it's next to impossible to get yourself off of that hook. Now, there are proactive steps persons can take. They can change their email address, they can change their phone number, but frankly, they maintain lists of victims and sell those lists, and the more that's been scammed out of a victim, the more that victim is worth to the next scammer, knowing they can likely replicate that success. As you heard, we actually intercepted Mr. Seibert in Atlanta after he'd flown from Tucson to Atlanta, starting his journey. When he got back to Arizona, our agents in Tucson met with him and were shocked to hear that he was actually going to go from their office where he met with them to send money to one of these scammers. So again, we cautioned him at that time. Again, the challenge is for us is, we can educate. I can't stop. I don't have a legal mechanism to stop a United States citizen from traveling if they choose to. I don't have a lawful mechanism to stop a United States citizen from sending money if they choose to. One of the things that we've done in terms of outreach is we've worked with the banks, with the money service businesses. We provided them what we would call red flag indicators. And a lot of the money service businesses in particular, who were frequently used in these scams, take it upon themselves, because again, they have an authority as a private business that I don't have as a law enforcement officer, to block those transactions to try to stop people from losing money.
In this individual case, I don't want you to give away any methods or whatever in terms of targeting the scammers, but what tipped you off in Mr. Seibert's case and led you to go to the airport?
I'm going to be very careful about how I talk about our targeting, and thank you for recognizing that. Again, this project, again, to give U.S. Customs and Border Protection their due credit, started with them. Secretary Johnson has been committed that we will put full department resources to significant problems, and this certainly is a significant problem. So that's where we married our ICE HSI agents up with CBP. They build the targeting off a number of factors, travel patterns, methods of purchase of airfare, and a whole bunch of other things that I'd be happy to provide to you in a closed setting. But one of the things that's very important is in bringing that investigative piece into this is as we meet with the Mr. Seibert, as we, either, as victims or potential victims, give us the emails they receive, as they recount their phone calls, or we work with the Department of Justice and get search warrants. We take, that evidence, which also has an intelligence value, we work back with CBP to help them further expand that targeting platform so that hopefully, in the future, we won't have Mr. Martin getting through where the possibility exists we could potentially stop him from traveling.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.